Welcome back to my channel. We made it to 2023 together. Congratulations. If you are a resolution person, I'm curious. Today is the 7th. Did you make it all week? Hopefully you did. If not, I don't blame you. So we'll start with an update on Hoeg Law. His wife is updating pretty regularly, once a day, every couple of days. The last she said, so if you go to Hoeg's page, go to his community tab, there's this post here from the wife. So if you want to be on that Hoeg map, if you're interested in letting the girls know where some of the love for their dad came from, I would suggest you go over there and put your city and state or country, whatever, however you want to do it. What else? Ian Runkle of the Bailey, he was nominated for the Gundy Awards. Voting started January 1st, so we're in the first week of voting. It ends January 31st, and so you can vote every day. You go over to the Gundy's website, and he's nominated in 2 categories. One of them is Breakout Creator of the Year, I think, or something like that. And the other one is something about 2A. And in his tweet, he said, vote for me on the 2A category because I think it'd be funny if a Canadian won. I saw last night in one of the chats, somebody said they were trying to post the Grifties link. So I went to the Grifties like 10 minutes ago, and I don't see that that's still going on. So if the Grifties is still a thing, you want to vote for your favorite grifter, maybe do it. I couldn't figure that out. It seems to me like that's over. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. The only thing that really happened this week in LawTube was the alleged Idaho murderer was extradited back to Idaho from Pennsylvania and was arraigned. Once he saw his day in court, the arrest or the probable cause affidavit was made public, and so basically all week every LawTuber had a reaction to this. Some of them did it a live reaction. Emily D. Baker did a live read, like she hadn't pre-read it. A couple of them hadn't pre-read it, and whew, it's such a different experience. I love the genuine live reaction, and I am of the belief that you can only do that once. And if you watch how everybody else reacted, like for instance, Legal Mindset and Megan, they went through it together and they kept saying, oh, this is the part. Oh, this is where it gets good. And so as an audience person, you kind of were like, oh, it's going to get good. You kind of expect it. Where in Emily's, you were just reading it with her, and then she reads, and then she opens the door for the 3rd time, and a man in a black mask walks towards her, and you're like, what the fuck? With everybody else, you're like, oh, this is the part. Okay, tell me. And she like, open the door. Yeah, open the door. Oh my God, 3rd time. And just even the way that they tell the story is kind of cheapened by the fact that they already know what it says. And they already have an emotion that's attached to this instead of forming that kind of at the same time with the words. It's just nothing like the very first reaction of something. And a couple of them did it. At one point, Emily was reading it and she was like, she got to the point where there were phone records. And she was like, ooh, I hope there are phone records. And she's like, oh, no, she goes, oh, look, there's phone records from June. I hope we get to see them. And she's like, ooh, wait, no, hope we don't get to see them. She's like, wait a minute. If they're in here, then they're relevant. That meaning, like, you just can see it clicking like shit. If there are phone records from June, that means that there's something from June that's connecting him to this place and these girls for the last several months. And that's terrifying and frightening, and it's like you want to see it, but you don't want to see it because that means it exists. So Emily did the whole, let's talk about that for a second. Emily live reacts, she reads names, she's like, oh shit, I didn't know those names were going to be in here. When she accidentally read the names of, or heard the names of the 2 surviving roommates, she took a moment and was like, damn it. I didn't know that was in here. I didn't expect that. I don't want there to be any harassment. This is just, what does she say? Facts and not fuckery. Like, she really took time to respect the surviving victims and their families and anybody else who might just be affected by this and just stick with the law. Whereas other ones, like on uncivil laws, chat, when they went through it, they decided how to do it better. Both legal mindset and 10 to life, when they got to the part where she describes his build, she's like a 5'10", not muscular. Both of them were like, ooh, sorry, bro.
Walking towards her.
Towards her.
She described the figure as 5'10" or taller, male, not very muscular, RIP, definitely not a Chad, but athletically built and with bushy eyebrows.
Walking towards her. She described the figure as 5'10" or taller, male, not very muscular. Sorry, Brian. But athletically built.
One said, sorry, Brian, and the other one said, RIP. A couple, the lawyer, took a moment and be like, I don't want to step on any toes, but I think you come here for this. If I were to question her as a defense attorney, these are the things I would ask. There were just so many different POVs from this. Literally, this is actually just one paragraph. A few of them, and actually I think the more mainstream question, like the bigger question you hear most as far as like criticism from towards a surviving roommate, was why didn't the one in the that came face to face with the killer, why didn't she call 911? I can't wait for this to go to trial. I've always wondered what it was about people that made them really like true crime, and I think it's because there's no way for most of us to think like that. For like that won't happen. You know, I'm never going to be a murderer. There's that, and the likelihood that somebody's going to murder me, again, very small. And so there's a very slim chance that I'm going to get to think in my mind about the moments that these type of crimes take place. Most killers don't talk. Most victims don't survive. So, like, to me, it just this brief, like, glimpse into a moment that is so terrifying. It's just so unbelievable. Well, shit, you can look at how DM handled it. It's so unbelievable, so terrifying, so unreal that even when you're in it, even when you're staring a killer face to face and you've heard the dog barks and you've heard the thumping and you hear the crying and you hear a man say, I'm gonna help you, even when all that happens, you just don't fucking believe it. It's unreal. It's so unreal. So, that's why I like true crime. That's why I can't wait for this to go to trial. I hope he doesn't murk himself. I hope nothing like that happens. And if he does, which is whatever, I don't care, I hope he writes every single thing down. The why. Tell us why. Exactly why. I mean, he actually looks crazy enough to tell us why. And I know you can't tell if a person looks crazy, but that fool looks crazy. Does he look crazy because I've only ever known him to be the Idaho stabber? Probably. That's probably true. What else happened in LawTube? Nate said he was no longer going to cover the Boozy Goodman case. I don't know, probably because it's a lot and he's got other shit to do. But today he did do a video with Eric, Nate and Eric, or Eric and Nate. But they were talking about how Boozy is just trash and his research is worse than trash. And they showed this graph that's like the science. And every time that Nate said the science, I wish he would say the science, but he never did. You might have heard about the Manson case basically falling apart. Seems like that's a nothing burger. I actually don't know all of the details, but I am not surprised. It looks like Good Logic is really the only one that's been talking about that NFL, the DeMar. Dude, okay, so Good Logic does a show talking about violent sport. And he shows the play where he does the tackle, stands up, and falls back down. YouTube, because he showed that, YouTube changed his video to mature audiences. It's like, really? Okay, YouTube. But I guess if you want to blame the violent hit instead of anything else. Which, that's the debate, right? The debate, if you saw it, like Nate and Viva were kind of losing their minds together collectively, talking about statistics on the very safe and effective, I don't know what to say, jab's probably not the thing to say. Anyways, everyone was like, oh my god, this is a side effect from that, and everyone else was like, no, because it's a side effect from just that. And no one knows, and none of us are psychologists or mechanics or however you can figure this stuff out, so I'm not going to claim to be like a chef. But if there are any journalists out there, we know you're fucking superior. Why don't you tell us how to think and how to be? And if you don't know, just make shit up, because that's what you're great at. If you watch Nate and Eric today, it kind of comes down to that. The main question is, why does Boozy even get people to listen to him?
I do want to say this about this. The reason why he's able to get away with this is because reporters have been willfully negligent, and some have a narrative.
And no one questions them, I guess because they're called journalists. I mean, hell, now it'll be because you got a blue check, even though it really just cost $8 to trick you. It used to cost an education. You know what it used to cost? It used to cost your reputation. And now over and over and over again, these journalists, which is a really funny way to say it, they piss all over everything. They shit all over their fucking profession. And people still tune in. I guess today's going to be different. Today will be the day they get it right. DUI Guy had Claire Best on. I did a long clip of it. Dude, she connected some dots. And you know what's funny? Okay, that's interesting. Claire Best connected the same dots. When it came down to it, she was like,
I think we have to really take people like that on head on and call them out. And they're surrounded by this network of these activist journalists like Kat Tenenberg, like Taylor Lorenz, like Susan Zalkind. You can literally pull them out. And there's a whole list of these, so-called activist feminist journalists. They're not activist feminist journalists at all. They're propagandist feminist journalists. A propagandist is someone who sings the song, but who can't answer questions rationally and then just shuts you down.
I think that's it. Most people didn't cover much else. I couldn't watch too much else. Boss Attorney Bree did cover a little Disney thing where this Disney is suing this knockoff company for stealing, I think, a lot of their shit. Their designs. It's like, who wouldn't think Disney didn't have time for that? I mean, I would have thought. I'm not surprised that there's a lawsuit there. And then last but not least, Ken Block died. Very, very sad. Kind of the debate that we had around these parts was he died on a snowmobile, but he didn't die in competition with the snowmobile or in some kind of work-related event. He was really just recreationally using the snowmobile with his homies. Is it better or worse to go out like Jessie Combs? So Jessie dies in her car, definitely doing what she loves, knowing the danger. Probably said goodbye to her family before that. Got the opportunity to be like, if you have to take out more insurance, the chances of you saying goodbye to your family right before you hop in the rocket that might kill you, probably pretty high. But when you just hop on your snow whatever mobile and you didn't have to sign any contracts, there's no extra insurance involved, the chances that you said bye, like your last goodbye, are probably pretty slim. So my question is it worse to go? What would be better? Dale Earnhardt style, Jessie Combs style, or Ken Block? That's a hard one because you guys remember the Ken Block shirt, "Just Don't Die"? That was like, do what you love, but just don't die. So maybe in Ken Block's world, it's actually worse to go out getting paid and signing contracts because the whole fucking point is just don't die. I don't know. It's very, very sad. I gotta tell you a secret. I am the queen of procrastination. If there's an award for that. Next year in the 2023 LawTube Awards, I'm going to give myself an award, and it's going to be called the Queen of Procrastination. And the awards are going to come out in the 3rd week of the next year. Actually, I can convince myself to put anything off. It's a problem. It's a whole problem. Sometimes I'm like, nothing happened in LawTube. Today, I was like, what's there really to talk about? I'm like, bitch, quadruple murder suspect extradited to Idaho from Pennsylvania, and every single lawyer covered it. There's shit to talk about. I'm like, oh, you're right. Bro, I didn't talk about potentially criminal. McCarthy, after what, 15 rounds, is the Speaker of the House now? But I did see on the news, it was like, not since 100 years have it taken this long to vote in a Speaker of the House. And what happens? Could somebody please tell me what happens? They just take a vote, and if they don't get the answer they want, they just keep on voting until they get the answer that they want. What's the point of voting? Just appoint someone and be done with it. Doesn't make a lot of sense. But I was in Potentially Criminals Live when I saw that happen, and he switched over and watched that, and it was... I'm always extremely entertained by Potentially Criminal, or by PC Sean. Damn it, I meant to call him PC Sean for the rest of my life. When Good Logic called him PC Sean, and he was like, please don't call me PC Sean. In that moment, I was like, I'm always going to call him PC Sean. Did I already talk about Good Logic? Yeah, because Good Logic is talking about the vax. But I didn't mean to say that. Emily, I talked about it all. All right, we'll see you guys next week, unless I can procrastinate it for an extra week, and then potentially I'm going to see you a week after that. It is what it is. Thanks for watching. Because maybe you haven't subscribed and you're not a subscriber. Maybe you're sick and tired of giving your subscription to people. I respect that. But in the meantime, while you're still vetting me, I really appreciate your support and your watch hours. Your data. And if you're here to hate watch, I think you should know that I'm collecting your hate watch hours in the same jar as I collect the love watch hours. And there is no difference. And when you comment, it goes into the same algorithmic interaction jar as the good comments. So honestly, if you hate me, go away. The best thing to do if you hate me is to nothing me. Don't engage my analytics. Don't let Susan know you're interested in me, because you're just going to see more of this bullshit. And that really goes for anyone. Like, honestly, I don't want you to unsubscribe for me, but if there is somebody out there that you really don't like really at a principled reason don't like them, do not go there. The whole vote with your dollars thing, that's over. That's over. It's vote with your data. They want your data. Do not give it to them. Don't. Resist every urge you can. And if you can't, there's this clever video called Watch Paint Dry. It's like 10 hours long. Watch that. Do anything except for give your data to somebody who you can't stand. Why would you do that? Don't do that. All right. We'll see you next week. Adios.